What is good, everyone? Welcome to the channel. My name is Paul. I make videos about Japanese society, life, and culture from the viewpoint of a long-term foreign resident. I've been here for 20 years, going on 21 now. And when you live in Japan, there are 3 obstacles as a foreigner you will face. 3 hurdles you'll have to be able to jump over if you're going to live here for the long term. The first, pretty obviously, is the language. And you can tell you have come a long ways with the language when people who meet you in Japan react to you differently. At first, when you say things to the extent of arigato and konnichiwa, they'll say, "Oh, nihongo wa jouzu desu ne," which they're being nice, they're being polite, they're saying your Japanese is good, which is encouraging and it's an icebreaker, and don't be offended if you think, well, no, my Japanese is actually pretty bad. But you know you've reached a better level of Japanese when they switch to the following. Nihon nagai desu ka? Like, basically they're asking, you've been in Japan long? Or you've been in Japan long? To which I always say, sou desu ne, tashika ni, Hokkaido kara Okinawa made, keiko nagai kuni desu ne. Which, hey, I got dad jokes for days. If you want me to make an entire video about dad jokes that are a mix of English and Japanese together, I will make that video. I don't think anyone wants to see that video, but I can make that video. The next obstacle that you should overcome, or you'll have to overcome if you live in Japan, is the dreaded question, can you eat natto? Yes, that crazy fermented sticky beans natto that seems to be this benchmark for can you handle Japanese food. And I think that sentence, that question, must be in a textbook somewhere in junior high school level or something, because the number of Japanese who have it memorized, can you eat natto, is just amazing. And the answer is, well, it's going to be person by person. I know long-termers here who don't like it. I myself, I'm fine with natto. If you have never had it, it's basically sticky and slimy, and it smells like your grandma's feet. But that aside, it's really good protein. And so yeah, natto is the second hurdle of a long-term foreign resident. But the third and final one is maybe the final boss. And that is, can you sort your garbage? Can you handle the garbage rules? Can you take the bins out correctly? Can you sort the trash? You get the idea. I'm going to talk about trash today. I'm going to be talking about this final boss, and I'm going to be talking about it in 3 different ways. The first is regarding the aforementioned garbage sorting. The second, I'm going to address the issue of lack of public trash bins in Japan. And the final one, I'm going to go over the truth about litter and littering in Japan. But first, I'm going to stop filming for a brief moment so I can cross this incredibly busy road ahead of me. Oh, and by the way, if you're really worried about that first hurdle, learning Japanese, one of the partners of the channel is a Japanese learning school. It's out in Kyushu, but it's done online, so anywhere you are in the world, you can actually sign up there and get lessons. You can sign up for 2 free lessons if you use my code and my link below. And if you sign up, you'll be supporting the channel that way, and you'll be able to improve your Japanese skills. Thank you to Japonin for partnering with the channel. And actually, because I just got my dissertation and I'm going to be in the job hunt for a better job than the one I have now, I'm actually thinking I might sign up for lessons myself, just because I need a lot of brush up on business level and professional level Japanese. Seems like a pretty good deal. Check them out. Okay, let's get into garbage sorting. The strangest thing about garbage sorting at the end of the day is the fact that every municipality does it completely differently. Everywhere I've lived in Japan, it's been different. When I talk to people I know living in other areas and we bring up, oh, what's the garbage sorting like in your area? And yes, this is a topic of conversation amongst people who live in Japan. Well, it's always different. The first place I lived, there wasn't much sorting at all, but you did have to sort plastic and cans and bottles separately when you did your recycling into different bins. But burnable trash included all of the plastics. So plastic, food trash, everything went into the same bag and you could throw it out in one big swoop. And that was really convenient, very easy. Almost like where I come from in the US, it's not so different. The next place I lived took it even further. They had 5 collection days and 1 special Saturday collection day once a month. And basically you had to separate steel cans from aluminum cans. You had to separate the types of plastic. So plastic labels in Japan come with a little label. It says pura on there in katakana script. And that had to be separated from things that didn't have that label. So something like a cling wrap or saran wrap that doesn't have a label on it, that plastic would have to be sorted differently. So that was like a next level of weird sorting. And I believe it all comes down to what kind of facilities the municipality has in terms of the actual disposal, because I know that the vast majority of plastic in Japan gets burned. But to burn plastic, they have to have special filters to keep less carcinogens and bad stuff going into the air. So I guess the first place I lived, they just had the special filters on everything, and so you could just throw it all away together. Then where I lived next, maybe they had different filters for the different plastics. I don't really know what was going on there. It's all very confusing. And this confusion and this difficulty of sorting and having like really special days for certain types of trash leads to some of the problems relating to trash disposal and littering in this country, which I will get into later. The kicker is there is a lot of pressure to sort garbage correctly. If you put the wrong stuff out on the wrong day, there will be a label slapped on it saying we can't take this trash, it's wrong. If you sort things incorrectly, they won't take it ever. And basically, whoever is in charge of the neighborhood kind of garbage patrol is going to try to figure out whose trash it is, or if they can't, then you've put this burden on them to sort this garbage and make sure it can be disposed of, which isn't fair. So neighbors kind of pay attention. Like if you've just moved into the neighborhood and you throw out your trash, someone will be like, and the problem is, as a foreigner, you're going to stand out, and the assumption, that barrier, that hurdle I talked about, is going to be that you are probably the problem. I actually had a bag of garbage brought to my doorstep and left there. They didn't ring the door, they didn't confront me, they just left garbage on my doorstep. Here's the thing, it wasn't mine. They just assumed that the new foreigner in the neighborhood had thrown away their trash wrong, and they gave me someone else's garbage. Thanks. A friend down in Kagoshima, which is Kyushu, way at the end of the basically archipelago of Japanese islands before you go to the Ryukyu, like Okinawan islands. He threw out nama trash or namagomi, which is like food trash mostly. And this little old lady came back and handed him this rotting bag of garbage because he had the audacity to have a toothpick still stuck in a strawberry. And this was food trash day, not any burnable trash day. And so he had to hang on to this nasty rotting trash in the Kagoshima summer, which is way hotter than where I live, basically until the next trash pickup day because of that toothpick. So yes, social pressure, eyes are going to be on you. There's going to be the little old lady garbage patrol possibly, and as a foreigner you're going to stand out even more. So I would say learn the garbage sorting rules very quickly. Cities often hand out basically the guidelines of the rules for sorting garbage. Whoever is the head of your neighborhood, you might find that there's this thing slipped into your mailbox after you've moved in, and it's going to have sort of pictograms and explanations about how to sort garbage and on what days things need to go out. And you should definitely pay attention to that, for real. Do it correctly, and if you do it correctly from the start, your neighbors will be like, oh, okay, this person gets it. And thankfully, those garbage instructions are more and more often translated into English, sometimes Chinese and Korean even, but English is kind of the standard translation you might find, which is very nice if you are just arriving in Japan, don't speak Japanese yet. Municipalities have caught on that it's probably the language barrier as to why many foreigners don't throw away garbage correctly. So yeah, that problem is basically slowly getting solved, but it's still up to you when you move in to figure out the new garbage rules. Now I'm going to touch very briefly on a topic that often comes up. I actually talked about it briefly in my video last week, which is the lack of public bins. Part of it has to be the sorting requirements, because public bins, people are not going to treat them the same way they will treat the bins in their neighborhood. So they might pull up to a public bin, just take the trash that they've got in their car or their truck, ditch it in that trash can and drive away, and they haven't sorted the plastic from the food trash, and there might be a canned coffee in there or something. So some poor city trash collector is going to have to take that bag apart and sort it. And I think that's also a money thing, like maintaining public trash cans is going to cost your municipality money. And in this day and age, a lot of municipalities don't have a lot of money because of the dwindling population, which means a dwindling tax base. So putting out public bins where there haven't been any before isn't a huge priority for a lot of municipalities because of that. But finally, it's also a security risk. People often bring up how a lot of the trash cans disappeared during the late 90s because of the sarin gas terrorist attack in the subway system of Tokyo by the Aum Shinrikyo cult, religious cult. They did this attack, and yeah, part of it was putting their agents of destruction into trash cans, and so they were taken away from public areas, especially train stations after that. So for all of those reasons, I don't think you're going to see an increase in public trash cans anytime soon. Some places like Kyoto and Tokyo might bend over and put bins out for the tourists in the really heavily touristed areas, because that's where a lot of the litter complaints are coming from by locals. And because they're benefiting from that tourism, they can maybe scare up the money or the funds for that. So I think that might make sense in certain areas, but don't expect it to be a countrywide thing that'll happen. But getting into the idea of littering, there's this whole image right now of foreign tourists littering, and it certainly is an issue because, as I talked about last week, you just have tons of people in these areas where there's very limited options for throwing away garbage, and so not everyone's nice, not everyone has good manners, and people are gonna drop trash here and there. But it would be absolutely not true to say that that is a foreign tourist only problem. The weird thing, or the interesting thing about litter in Japan, is part of it goes back to that difficulty of sorting, but also part of it goes to all of the items that you can't throw away in the normal trash cycles outside of your house or in your neighborhood. There's a lot of items, things like what's called sodai gomi, or large trash, which is obviously like appliances and furniture, metallic items that don't fit the can. Like, it's not a metal can, but it's like, some other metal item that you're trying to get rid of, an old tool or something. All of those things are going to either have a really specialized pickup, or you might have to pay someone to come out and pick it up for you. Or if you have the capacity, you can lug it yourself to the trash center that is closest to you and throw it away. If you take it to the trash center, obviously it's your time and expense, gasoline, and you'll pay a little bit of money to have that item taken from you, taken off your hands. I just took a whole bunch of the kids' toys there a couple months ago that they've outgrown, and I paid like 150 yen. So it's not a lot of money, but it's the ability of transport, and do you have the time to go? If you hire someone to come out to your place and pick up trash, that costs quite a bit more, and especially if we're talking large items, like you need to get rid of a refrigerator or a microwave, something like that. That's why, if you head out to the countryside, especially mountain access roads, places that go through forested areas, you're going to find that there's a lot of trash in nature. There's a lot of trash along those roads. If you go up a mountain road and you stop your car and you look over the side, you're going to see tires, you're going to see blue tarps, you're going to see old refrigerators, you're going to see old stove tops, you're going to see every manner of trash you can possibly think of. Because two reasons. One, some people don't want to pay to dispose of that. And two, out of sight, out of mind. It's often commented on that Japanese cities are spotless and the Japanese don't litter. That's not true. They just don't litter in the city. Shame culture, they don't want to litter where other people will see them litter. Just like you don't want to sort your garbage incorrectly in your neighborhood because your neighbors are going to be like, what's your problem? What are you doing? Same thing. If you're walking down the street like this, I have some trash and I just throw it, someone sees me, that's no bueno. Like, walking today, you could probably note, if you cycle back through the video, very little trash behind me as I'm walking today. However, get out on a forested road, mountain road, rural areas, you'll find all manner of junk. When I go hiking in beautiful places out in the mountains, trash up there too. Granted, most outdoorsy types are really good about packing out what they packed in, but still there's going to be people who don't follow the rules because there's no one around to socially enforce those rules. And that's the unfortunate aspect of litter in Japan. It's this weird opposite of what I say we do in America. In America, we kind of trash our cities. We litter. American cities are very dirty compared to Japanese cities, like a lot. There's a big difference. However, I feel like we're a little more careful about nature. Like the idea of going out into like a rural countryside forested area and just tossing all kinds of trash somewhere. Most Americans are like, no, nature needs to be unspoiled, beautiful, pristine. And obviously there's many Japanese who believe that too. There's many Japanese who would never litter in a city or in countryside or in nature. Like, this is not to generalize Japanese people at all. This is just to say there are some bad foreign tourists who are going to litter in those tourist areas. And there's some bad Japanese residents, and I will include foreign residents as well, but there are some bad Japanese and Japan residents who they know better than to litter in the city, but they will litter in the countryside. People are not perfect anywhere in the world, and the Japanese are no more perfect. I don't have any data about the per capita littering of Japan versus other countries, but to believe that Japan doesn't litter is to miss all of the trash that you can find in the countryside. Okay, that's this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you got something out of it, especially if you're going to come live in Japan, learn your garbage sorting. If you're going to be a tourist here, and of course if you're living here, don't litter anywhere, please. That's not cool. But at the end of the day, garbage is that final obstacle, that final thing that you're going to have to overcome and be cool with in Japan. Learn to eat natto, learn Japanese, learn to sort your garbage. Do those 3 things and you are well on your way. Okay, thanks so much for watching this particular video. I hope to see you on the next one. I drop one every single week. Saturday morning Japan time, Friday night US time, and I hope to see you there. Peace.